Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening today to this webinar. My name is Marc Machaalani. I'm a sixth-year medical student at the Lebanese University. I also like to play the piano and to walk my dog across nature. I hope you enjoyed this webinar as much as I did preparing for it. Please keep your mics muted, and at the end, there will be a time for questions. Okay, so today's topic is about alcohol and mental health. Without further ado, let's begin. So I will begin by introducing our main actor here, which is alcohol. All alcoholic drinks, from whiskey to vodka, rum, etc., contain the same basic element, which is ethanol. And what they differ by is their concentration in ethanol, which fruits or grains were used during the fermentation process, and finally the type of storage, for example, the type of food that were used. And basically, this is what gives the different alcoholic drinks the taste. And you have to know something, that alcohol is not a recent trend or a fad. In fact, alcohol is almost as old as civilization. And to show you some pictures here, this is an Egyptian stele from 1355 BC, depicting a mercenary drinking beer with a straw in the company of his wife and child. And this one is an image of a medieval monk of the Middle Ages testing wine from a barrel. And finally here, this is a 2,600-year-old Phoenician wine press that was excavated very recently south of Saida in Lebanon. So this is just to show you that alcohol has been drunk by different civilizations throughout history, and people still drink it. Why is that? Why do we drink alcohol? Mainly for three reasons. First of all, many people drink to celebrate a holiday or an important personal event such as a graduation, a promotion, maybe a marriage. Second of all, people like to drink among friends, to socialize, maybe during a football match to grab a beer, to eat wings. And finally, many people drink alcohol to change their mood, to feel more confident before a first date, for example, to drink when they feel sad, when they feel down. And they think that alcohol may be helping through this calming effect. But before going further, I want to show you how this effect is mediated. First of all, alcohol targets GABA A receptors in the brain, and this will lead to decreased neural firing. Firing of the neurons will be decreased, and this will be translated into relaxation, sedation, and sleepiness. However, once this calming effect fades, and the withdrawal effect will kick in, the person may feel worse. So next we have what happens if a person is drinking too much? How much is too much? And what are the effects of booze abuse? I like this pun. So how does a person know if they're drinking too much? If they are experiencing any of the following signs. Maybe they're feeling guilty or bad about the drinking. Maybe they feel like they should cut back on the quantity or the frequency of how much they're drinking. They may be having trouble focusing on their work or studies. It may be affecting the relationships. And finally, they may feel in need to drink rather than choosing the drink consciously. So it becomes more that an urge, a need, a compulsive need, much more than a conscious decision. And here we can see what is considered heavy drinking. For men, it is more than 14 units a week, and women, it is 7 units a week. And what is a unit? For example, a glass of 25 milliliters of, let's say, whiskey is considered 1 unit. A bottle of premium beer is 1.6 units, etc. You get the point. So no more than 14 units for men and no more than 7 units a week for women. Does that mean that it's good to drink 14 units a week, it is not. But this is the upper limit. Okay, so what does alcohol do to your body, especially when drunk in excess? First of all, the effects of alcohol can reach many systems, starting with the cardiovascular system, leading to hypertension, which is elevated blood pressure, myocardial infarction, which is heart attack, and arrhythmias, which is the fancy word for rhythm problems. It can also affect the digestive system, leading to cancers, such as cancer of the mouth, of the esophagus, of the stomach, etc. Inflammation of the pancreas or pancreatitis, even diabetes. Alcohol can also affect the liver, and this is the infamous effect of alcohol. It can lead first to fatty liver disease, also known as steatosis, to hepatitis or inflammation of the liver, and finally to cirrhosis, in which the liver becomes shrunken and fibrotic. Finally, alcohol has serious repercussions on the nervous system, leading to seizures, accidents, and falling. And I want to use this occasion to remind you never to drink and drive. I'll go into more details about the effects of alcohol on the nervous system in the next slide. So, what happens to your brain on alcohol? We have to differentiate between alcohol intoxication, which is the effect of directly the alcohol on the brain, and alcohol withdrawal, which is what happens when the effect of alcohol fades away and other signs or symptoms may appear. So alcohol intoxication can be inappropriate behavior, unstable moods, impaired judgment, slurred speech, even poor coordination or blackouts. Blackouts are periods during which the person does not even remember what has happened. Alcohol intoxication can even lead to coma or death. On the other hand, alcohol withdrawal can be shown as sweating, rapid heartbeat, hand tremors, problems sleeping, even nausea and vomiting, which we know is the term for hangover. Also hallucinations, anxiety and agitation, and finally seizures. So I want to go without much detail on this study. First, I need to define what the hippocampus is. It is a structure which is very important in the learning process, in emotional responses, and finally memory formation and storage. So in a study over 30 years, researchers from the University of Oxford have tracked the drinking patterns of people and have examined their brain health. So they have found that brain shrinkage was proportional to the amount of alcohol that the participants consumed. Even mild and moderate drinkers showed more shrinkage than those who abstained completely from alcohol consumption. And here in this image, we can see the difference between a comparison subject and someone who is a heavy consumer of alcohol with alcohol use disorder. We can see how this structure, the hippocampus, is shrunken. Now, let's talk about the effect of alcohol on mental health, which is, in my opinion, a subject that is not addressed enough. So what do you think? Do mental health disorders lead to alcohol misuse, or inversely, could alcohol drinking be the cause, or it may lead to mental health disorders? I'll give you 2 to 3 seconds to think about it. So the answer is both. It is a bi-directional relationship, and it may be difficult to separate cause and effect. Which came first? We have trouble finding out, but they are very interconnected. So to show you, this is a very interesting graph, which exactly, like many people have said in the chat, is both ways. So mental health can be a risk factor for alcohol dependency or abuse. For example, if someone has an anxiety disorder, they are 3.2 times more likely to develop alcohol dependency than someone without. And we can see different mental health disorders, and they all increase the risk of alcohol dependency. So why do people with mental health are more at risk? Because they may start to rely on alcohol to ease their symptoms and feel better. But over time, this can lead to a full-blown alcohol use disorder. So what is this term, alcohol use disorder? Briefly, it is defined as the inability to stop drinking even when it causes problems, emotional distress, or physical harm to the person or to others. Of course, this is a disorder that may be diagnosed by a mental health professional with a set of criteria over a 12-month period. Some of the criteria include craving, drinking for more than was intended, trying hard to procure, spending time drinking alcohol. I won't go into the details, which are not relevant here. You can check out the DSM-5 criteria for more information. So we said that mental health was a risk factor, mental health disorders were risk factors for alcohol dependency. And the opposite also holds true. So drinking alcohol is a risk factor for mood and anxiety disorders. In fact, it is even linked to self-harm and suicide. For instance, people who soon after drinking alcohol are 7 times at increased risk for suicide attempt. And this increases to 37 times after heavy use of alcohol. To talk specifically about depression with alcohol, alcohol can first exacerbate depressive symptoms. It can hinder the treatment of depression. And third, it can cause alcohol-induced depression, which can eventually lead to alcohol-independent depression. So it can cause, and eventually the depression can become independent of alcohol use. I want to ask you, between you and yourself, how much do you think, how many casualties are due to alcohol yearly? The numbers may shock you. 3 million people die from alcohol or alcohol-related events every year, according to the WHO. 3 million people die every year. This is equivalent to 6 deaths per minute. And to show you more numbers, this is equivalent to 5.3% of all deaths worldwide. And this increases to 13.5% among youth 20 to 39 years old. And alcohol is responsible for 107 million people having alcohol use disorder. These are huge numbers, scary numbers. So really, alcohol is a public health issue. You could call it an epidemic. So many people are suffering from it. And this is why I want to encourage you, if you or someone you know has a problem with alcohol, what changes can this person make to take control of their life? First of all, it may be useful to keep track of how much, when, and with whom you're drinking. For instance, you could say, every time it's rainy outside, I feel lonely and I go to drink. Maybe every time at this particular bar with these particular friends, I drink too much. So keeping track of the patterns, helping understand the problem is essential in order to tackle it. Next possible change is to try healthy coping mechanisms, such as exercise, such as relaxing baths. You can find what works for you, what helps you cope and avoid excessive drinking. And one way is music and art therapy, which purpose is to express your feelings, to stay positive, to think of something else. Of course, it does not have to be a medical doctor who's playing music. You can play it yourself, you can listen to music. Yoga and meditation may be very useful, especially with the breathing techniques, which may help relax the body and mind to help reduce stress. Other changes include joining a support group, which many people find very useful. There are many such groups, especially on the internet. You can find online groups even. So why is this important? Because many people feel better when they know that other people who are also struggling have the same fight sharing experiences, sharing the struggles may be very useful for so many people. The next change would be seeking help from a trained professional. This is very important. And this can be done through many ways. First, talking to your personal doctor. Second, it may involve seeking help from a therapist or an addiction specialist, maybe an alcohol addiction specialist. And finally, rehabilitation centers can be also very useful. So how does this professional help occur? Through different ways. It may include therapy, counseling sessions to better manage and understand the cravings in order to better tackle them and achieve sobriety goals. It may include medical treatment to reverse the effect or decrease the craving of alcohol. And rehab centers can include strict schedules of activities, of exercise, and of meals in order to stay focused and achieve the goals. So I want to say something for everyone who may be suffering from alcohol dependency. It may be difficult. It may seem like an unsurmountable mountain, but it is not impossible. Millions of people have managed to break free of the chains of alcohol dependency. If other people can do it, you can do it too. Even if you fail, you can try again and never get discouraged. So I want to end by saying that there is absolutely no shame in seeking help. Don't wait till next week or next month. If you know someone, try to talk to a professional person, a professional therapist, in order to help you address the situation. Get help as soon as possible. Get help now. So thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did preparing for it. If you have any questions, please unmute your microphone or type the question in the chat and I'll be more than ready to answer it.
Hello, Mark. Mario is here. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Everyone, I'm sure that everyone has heard that a little bit of alcohol, sip a little bit of whiskey or wine or something is very good for our cardiovascular system. Any news, any idea about the cardiovascular system?
This is a great question. In fact, we have, as you said, many people know or think that it may be good for the cardiovascular health. However, when you think about it and you consider the negative effects, especially on the rest of the body, it may be best to avoid drinking or to reduce drinking. There is actually no safe amount, as you have seen in the study about the hippocampus shrinkage. Even a mild consumption of alcohol can be detrimental. This is why it is better to decrease as much as possible consumption or even to abstain completely. I hope that answered your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? No further questions? The chat, let's see if there is anything. Okay, so I think this is it. Thank you for attending. Thank you for listening. I hope it was good for you and you learned something new. If you have any further questions, kindly reach out to me. This is my email address, and have an amazing week. Okay.